The narcissist who hurt you will bow down begging you for forgiveness. You walked away. Maybe it was the hardest thing you've ever done. Maybe it took every ounce of strength you had to finally say no more, to stop explaining yourself, to stop defending your worth, and to stop chasing someone who never truly saw you. And now, after months or even years of silence, something strange starts happening. They come back. Not with an apology, not with real change. At first, they reach out with subtle hints, carefully worded messages, or sudden appearances where they act like nothing ever happened. And then, if that doesn't work, they escalate. They send desperate texts. They call you at odd hours. They show up uninvited. They message you through mutual friends. And eventually, yes, they bow down, begging you for forgiveness. But why? Why would someone who hurt you so deeply, who discarded you, gaslit you, and made you feel small, suddenly be on their knees asking for your mercy? Is it love? Regret? A sign of healing? No. It's control. It's desperation. It's the realization that they lost the one person who gave them validation they couldn't find anywhere else. In this video, we'll reveal the shocking truth. The narcissist who hurt you will eventually come back, not because they deserve you, but because they need you. And when they do, they won't just apologize. They'll beg. We'll explore why narcissists always return, what they really want when they ask for forgiveness, and how to protect yourself from falling into their trap again. You'll learn how their mind works, why they panic when they lose influence over you, and why they suddenly see you as the most important person in the world again. If you've ever wondered whether a narcissist can truly change, or if they'll ever admit fault, you're about to get clarity. So if you're ready to understand what really happens when a narcissist begs for forgiveness, keep watching. Because knowledge is power. And once you know the truth, you'll never fall for their game again. Let's begin. If you're here, it means you've either lived through the pain of being manipulated by a narcissist, or you're trying to understand what happens when they return begging for forgiveness. Either way, you're not alone. Millions of people struggle with the emotional aftermath of narcissistic relationships, and many of them don't realize that the abuse doesn't always end when the person leaves. Before we dive into the heart of this topic, let's take a moment to connect. If you found this content helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with others who might benefit from it. Awareness is the first step toward healing, and by spreading the word, you're helping others break free from cycles of emotional manipulation and destruction. Now, let's start with the most important truth you need to hear right now. The narcissist who hurt you will come back, not because they've changed, but because they've run out of options. Narcissists don't walk away from relationships lightly. They may discard you, ghost you, or smear your name to others, but make no mistake, they remember you, deeply, painfully, constantly. Because for a narcissist, losing someone isn't just about ending a relationship, it's about losing access to admiration, validation, and emotional fuel. And once they've used up every other source of attention around them, once they've drained every new person they tried to replace you with, they start to feel something they absolutely hate: emptiness. That's when the panic sets in. That's when they realize that no one gives them the same rush you did. No one challenged them the way you did. No one gave them the kind of attention, resistance, or emotional energy that kept them feeling alive. And so, they come crawling back, not to heal, not to apologize, and certainly not to change. They come back because they need you. Desperate. Second, they beg for forgiveness not because they regret hurting you, but because they fear being forgotten. Narcissists live in constant fear of being erased. Their entire identity is built around being admired, noticed, and needed. So when you walk away and refuse to look back, you do something they cannot tolerate. You remove their power. You prove that you can survive without them, that you can move on, that you can build a life they are no longer part of, and that terrifies them. Because, for a narcissist, being forgotten is worse than being hated. Being ignored is worse than being criticized. And being irrelevant is worse than being exposed. So when they return, when they kneel and plead for your forgiveness, they aren't doing it out of remorse. They're doing it to remind themselves that they still matter to you. that you still have space for them, that you haven't completely erased them from your life. Third, they only seek your forgiveness when they can no longer manipulate anyone else. Let's be honest, narcissists don't lack people in their lives, at least not at first. They often have a rotating cast of admirers, enablers, and temporary sources of emotional fuel. But those relationships don't last. Why? Because eventually, people see through the mask. Eventually, the new partner realizes they were never the center of attention. Eventually, the friend sees that they were only valued when convenient. Eventually, the coworker understands that they were just another pawn in the narcissist's emotional chessboard. And when all those people leave, when all those temporary connections fade, the narcissist is left with one painful reality. There's no one left who gives them what you did. That's when they panic. That's when they start reaching out. That's when they try to re-enter your life, not because they've changed, but because they've exhausted every other option. Fourth, they beg for forgiveness not to rebuild trust, but to regain control. One of the biggest lies narcissists tell is that they miss you, that they regret hurting you, that they've been thinking about you constantly since you left. But none of it is about love. None of it is about healing. It's about regaining dominance. It's about reclaiming their throne in your emotional world. Because the moment they sense that you're starting to move on, that you're thriving, growing, and living without them, they feel threatened, powerless, trapped in a world where they no longer hold the strings. So they do what they always do. They pull harder. They beg. They cry. They promise change. They offer grand gestures. And they make it sound like your forgiveness is the key to their salvation. But it's not about saving their soul. It's about restoring their ego. Fifth, their apologies are not genuine. They're calculated moves in a long game. Have you ever noticed how narcissists rarely take full responsibility? Even when they apologize, they always find a way to shift the blame. I wouldn't have treated you that way if you hadn't pushed me. I was going through a hard time. I thought I could fix myself before coming back. These aren't sincere admissions. They're carefully crafted lines designed to make you believe they've changed, so you'll give them another chance. And the worst part? Some people do. Some people, still carrying the scars of past manipulation, still longing for closure, still hoping that maybe, just maybe, the narcissist has learned something, decide to open the door again. And that's exactly what they wanted. Sixth, they don't care about your pain. They care about losing their image of superiority. Narcissists don't apologize because they feel guilty. They apologize because they feel defeated, because you moved on, because you stopped giving them attention, because you refused to play their game anymore. And that rejection cuts deeper than any words you ever said to them. To them, your ability to walk away wasn't just defiance. It was proof that you were stronger than they believed. And that's a truth they cannot accept. So they come back, not to make amends, but to restore their sense of power, to remind you that they can still affect you, that they can still bring you to your knees. Seventh, they only seek your forgiveness when they can no longer win through manipulation. Remember this, narcissists don't apologize unless they've already tried everything else. They don't ask for forgiveness unless they've already tried to hoover you back in through guilt, flattery, or false promises. Only when those tactics fail, only when you refuse to react, only when you continue moving forward without them, do they resort to the final strategy, begging. Because at that point, they're not just trying to regain control, they're trying to survive emotionally. Without your presence, even if it's distant, even if it's just through memory, they feel incomplete, unstable, weak, and the only way they know how to fill that void is by bringing you back into their orbit, no matter how much damage it causes you. Eighth, they don't want your forgiveness. They want your attention. Let's strip away the illusions. Let's stop pretending that their apologies mean something meaningful. A narcissist begging for forgiveness isn't seeking redemption. They're seeking a reaction. They want to know that they still matter to you, that they can still stir something inside you, that you still carry their words with you. Because to them, being hated is better than being ignored. Being remembered is better than being forgotten. And being fought over is better than being replaced. So they return, Not to heal the wounds they caused, but to reopen yours. To remind you that they still exist, that they still have power, that they still have a place in your mind. Ninth, they will twist your forgiveness into a victory over you. Once you forgive them, even if you don't go back to them, even if you only acknowledge their words, they store that moment away like a trophy. They replay it in their minds over and over. See? They'll tell themselves, she still loves me. She forgave me. That means she still needs me. I was right all along. She can't stay away forever. This is how they maintain their illusion of control. This is how they convince themselves that they still have power over you, even if you never speak to them again. Your forgiveness becomes their justification, their excuse, their proof that you were never truly free. 10th, you are not obligated to give them anything, including forgiveness. Here's the most important lesson of all. You owe them nothing.
Not your time.
Not your energy, not your compassion, and definitely not your forgiveness. Forgiveness is for you, not for them. And if you haven't healed, if you're still rebuilding your self-worth, if you're still recovering from the trauma they inflicted, then giving them your forgiveness is not an act of kindness. It's a trap. Because the moment they feel forgiven, the moment they feel accepted, the cycle begins again. The manipulation returns. The gaslighting resumes. And soon, you're right back where you started. So if you found yourself recognizing any of the truths we've discussed in your own life, take a deep breath and remind yourself of something powerful. You are not weak. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not damaged goods. You are simply a human being, recovering from an experience that was never meant to be survived without scars. What you went through wasn't just emotional pain. It was psychological manipulation on a level that most people don't even understand exists until they live it. You were caught in a system designed to confuse, control, and drain you emotionally, without ever making you realize how deeply you were being affected. And yet, despite everything, you made it out. You walked away. You survived. And now you're doing the hard work of healing. That is not weakness. That is resilience. You were never chosen by the narcissist in your life because you were vulnerable or easy to manipulate. On the contrary, you were chosen because you had something real, something valuable, something they couldn't create for themselves. Whether it was your strength, your empathy, your ability to see through deception, or your refusal to fully bow down, you brought something into their world that they deeply needed, even if they never acknowledged it. And now, after everything, you have the chance to reclaim that strength and use it for yourself. Not for them, not for anyone else, but for your own healing, your own growth, and the future you deserve to build. The lessons you've learned, the boundaries you've built, and the awareness you've gained are not things to be discarded or forgotten. They are tools, powerful ones, that can help you move forward with clarity, confidence, and a deeper understanding of who you truly are. Healing from narcissistic abuse doesn't mean erasing the past or pretending it never happened. That would be impossible and unnecessary. Healing means facing what you went through with honesty and courage. It means understanding that none of it was your fault, that their behavior was never about you, and that your worth was never tied to their approval or validation. It means taking back your power piece by piece and refusing to let the past dictate who you become moving forward. You carry scars, yes, but those scars are not weaknesses. They are signs of survival, proof that you faced something dark and came out the other side. And while the pain may still linger at times, it will change shape over time. It will stop defining you and start reminding you of how far you've come. So if you've recognized any of these truths in your own journey, know this: you are not alone. You were never chosen because you were weak. You were chosen because you had something real, something valuable, something they needed. And now you have the chance to take that strength and use it for yourself, for your healing, for your growth, and for the life you deserve to live. A life free from manipulation. A life free from control. A life where your worth is not questioned, your emotions are not twisted, and your strength is not diminished. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this message meaningful or helpful, please consider taking just a few seconds to like, subscribe, and share this content with others who may be going through something similar. Awareness is the first step toward healing, and by spreading the word, you're helping others break free from cycles of emotional abuse and manipulation. Once again, I want to remind you to stay strong, stay aware, and most importantly, remember this truth: you are not alone. There is an entire community of people who understand what you've been through, who have walked this path before you, and who are rooting for your healing and growth. Keep moving forward, trust your instincts, and never forget that your strength is real and it belongs to you now, fully and completely.